How's it going today, everybody? Welcome back to Troy's Hobbies RC. Today on the channel, we have a very special episode. I finally got my hands on the new Losi LMT 2.0, and today we're going to be taking an unboxing and first look at this thing. We're going to see what they've updated, take a look at the new electronics, and a few other things that they've done along the way. So let's get this thing open and see what this new truck comes with. All right, everybody, we got this thing out of the box. This thing is looking fresh and clean and perfect. It won't stay this way for long, but let's talk about this thing while we have it out. Let's talk about what you get in the box here real quick. Here's your manual. This is going to be one of the most important things you're going to read. These things are very, very important. You got to make sure you go through these. Because this particular truck uses special telemetry, and there's a lot of extra functions to this vehicle. Different driving modes here. We have your unlimited mode, wheelie mode, and then on the next page here it explains freestyle mode. These are brand new pages here. And then on this other side we have your freestyle mode. So these are a lot of different functions on this transmitter that you're going to have to learn and go through before you start performing a lot of your tricks and your stunts. I've been doing quite a bit of reading on it, so this will be a lot of fun to kind of experiment with and see how it works out. There's also a little supplemental guide here as well. It's a little quick start guide. But that's the look at the manuals there. You get a little extra bag of stuff. Extra battery straps for different size batteries. We've got some extra rear lockouts and extra front hubs here for you guys if you want to change that up. You got a little antenna tube here if you guys want to use that to make a flag or something. I'll explain that here in a little while. You have your little foam here. This is for the battery tray. You just slide this in there. This is where you would put a shorty pack, and then you just slide this in its place, so you can run a regular battery pack over the top. And then it actually comes with 4 AA's for your transmitter. So we're gonna get all that stuff sorted out here really quick, and then I'll fire up the transmitter here. All right, everybody, let's take a second and talk about the revised radio here that comes with the new Losi LMT 2.0. This is a revised version of the Spectrum DX3. As you can see on top, it has all of your standard functions. Your steering, throttle, and throttle limits are all still here functional, just like before. But the things on the side here are the ones you're going to have to pay attention to in the manual, because these are what control the rate and the angle of your stoppies, of your bicycles, and of your wheelies. So if you're using things in like different stunt modes, these are the knobs you're really going to have to pay attention to, especially if you're a newer driver. You really want to pay attention to how you have these tuned. So that's something very, very important to remember about this version of the DX3 transmitter. So let's get that aside, and let's get to talking more about the truck itself. All right, everybody. First thing I kind of want to cover with the truck itself is the revision to the back end of the truck. I know a lot of people start all over the place with this. I just want to start here at the back real quick because they revised the cage, and this is really, really important. You still have the 2 pull-style body pins underneath on either side here of the cage. See if I can get to this one. There we go. Got those out. But the revision here is a new latch system. Much like they had on the mud trucks, it just flips open here now, and you can get much, much easier access to underneath the vehicle. It's very much still the Losi LMT we know and love. This is basically the King Sling with a few updates now. So like they've taken the mud truck front plates and the rear end here, and they've revised this rear bumper and a few other things here, and a few things in the electronics. And that's how they came up with the Losi LMT 2.0. The biggest revisions are going to be in the shocks, which have an internal spring, and then a just a reservoir style shock in the back here, and then sway bars, which are a new like metal and plastic combination link. But it actually looks like it's going to be much more durable than the previous versions, where we were snapping those little linkage arms. I found a way around that, a very cheap and easy fix to get around that. But a lot of guys were having problems with that, so they revised that from the factory. That's really good to see with these new sway bars. And then the other big main revision is to the axle housings. They went instead from a three-piece design down to a two-piece design. So that should hopefully eliminate some of the breakage points and things like that. But we'll see what else it could lead to here in the future as far as maintenance and things of that nature. And then the final major renovation here would be the wheels and tires. They went to a true 2.6 style, 2.6 inch style monster truck rim and tire. So it's the same inner and outer diameter here. So you've got the inner diameter and the outer diameter matching now. So that's good to see. But the fun thing is, and the reason I wanted to show off the back first, is because they actually include a little flag mount. So I'm going to secure my old Gravedigger flag in the back of this thing and have it look just right. So that's why I wanted to start out in the back. Let's kind of get into some of the other details of this truck. All right, everybody, we got the flag all mounted up. It's really simple. You just cut your antenna tube to length, pop it down in there. Then you take your 1.5 millimeter. There's a little grub screw that's included with the truck. Loosen that out, pop your antenna tube in, and then secure it down with the grub screw on the side. So it's a really simple installation. They include everything. It's just the secondary hole to the side of the flag hole. You just pop it out real quick, pop the flag in, and then screw it down. That's all you do to install that. It's like literally a 10-second installation. So now we have a proper Gravedigger flag on the back. All right, let's move on to the front of the truck. Front of the truck is largely the same as far as what was before. It's the same body shell. They did revise the graphics slightly. They shaded it a little bit differently, and it seems to be a little bit more correct with the actual real-life truck itself. But let's go ahead and just kind of talk about a few things. The shocks, like I said earlier, they're a new design, and one of the reasons I kind of waited to get this truck on the channel was because these guys have been having a problem with leakage. But this is not the first LMT to have leaky shocks. The Kingslings and the Bog Hogs also had a similar problem, but this is a very simple solution that can be solved with a couple of simple O-rings. And so if I run into that issue after the first run, I already know for a fact that these shocks leak. They were wet and damp out of the factory, right out of the box. I haven't even, this thing hasn't seen a lick of dirt yet. I haven't even shot the thumbnail. So it has yet to go outside. So they are leaking from the factory. Like my buddy Ben Weaver has been saying over on Facebook. He's a friend of mine that races at Colorado RC Monster Truck Challenge. His LMT, what he was doing was he was bleeding the shocks. What we need to do, since we live at high altitude, we actually need to bleed the shocks to get them to work properly, since they're emulsion style shocks. However, I do believe they still need the O-ring fix, and that's what I intend to do, is fix the O-rings down here in the lower part of the shock. And I do believe one of these seals might be bad on the uppers. So we're going to go through and inspect those after running it for the first run. So we are going to do a first run straight out of the box, and we want to do that, right? When we get a new RC car, you want to give it a shakedown run like that and find out what flaws it actually has. This is a brand new truck. This is a new production run. So, things happen. And so if the worst thing is we're finding little leaky shocks, That's no big deal. So I've got a simple solution to that, and if that's what ends up working out on mine, I'll make a video about that itself, and we'll figure out how to fix these shocks, guys. It's not the biggest deal in the world. So let's move on to some of the other axle parts. That's kind of my spiel on the shocks. Again, you can see the new thick sway bar setup. They're like 3 times thicker than they were before, so that shouldn't snap on you. This is the new 2-piece axle housing design with slightly revised knuckles here. However, with the 2-piece design, people have been breaking these knuckles. So just something to keep in mind, that's something you may want to keep extra of, or the knuckles. But, you know, remember, a knuckle is very, very inexpensive and very, very easy to fix compared to like a whole axle housing. So if this is what the new failure point is on the truck, you know, I'll take that. That's no big deal. You know, that's a few dollars of plastic versus an entire axle housing and an entire teardown in a day. So that's kind of my thoughts on that. Is if, you know, we have this little trade-off of a weak point, so be it. Whatever. The new servo here is the S680, which is a 25 splines turbo. Spectrum has finally gone to 25 spline, which I like to see that. And this new bevel style, this bevel washer style servo saver looks very, very promising. I haven't yet to see anybody have a problem with one of these, so we'll put this thing to use and see how this servo holds up. So let's kind of move on to some of the other parts. All right, we have this thing flipped up on the underside here to kind of look at the underplate and things like that. Pretty much all of this is the same. This is all the same under chassis plate. Your center differential is in here. That's also how you access that end of the drive shafts. And that's something I want to cover because this is an issue I ran into recently on one of my other LMTs. Make sure you guys are very, very careful with these grub screws getting in and out of these drive shafts. This end is a lot easier than this end. This end, if you have like stuck Loctite or any kind of damaged screw, these are an absolute nightmare to get out if you have damaged them. So from the factory, what I was noticing is that the King Slings and the Bog Hogs had way too much Loctite on these from the factory, and it was a pain to get that grub screw out. What I did was I took the tip of a soldering iron. This is an old RC trick. Just stick the tip of the RC soldering iron into the grub screw. Heat up the grub screw for a few minutes. You may smell a little bit of burning plastic. That's normal. Don't burn it too bad. Make sure you're mindful of where you're at. But heat it up, and then once that thing's good and warm, then try to crack that thing loose. It took me probably 10 or 15 minutes of fussing with it, but it finally got hot enough and came loose. So just if that happens to you guys, that's a really common issue. That's something that can happen anywhere at any time. Somebody just gets a little too thread lock happy, and that's what can happen. So just something to be mindful of on your LMT. Make sure if you're doing any kind of service on the center diff, careful with those grub screws. Okay, I was just getting in here tight to give you guys a look at the new double shear shock style standoffs that they have on the axles. And that's where I noticed right there, you guys can see how wet and leaky that shock is. It's just a few drops right now, but I do believe it's going to develop into something. So we'll have to service this thing after its first run. Just something to keep in mind, you guys. It's a first run vehicle. These little things are going to happen. You guys also still have the original 3-gear transfer case with the cush drive in there as well. So that is unchanged from the original LMT and Kingsling. Alright everyone, I've got the hood flipped up here. Let's take a second and talk about the electronics. Let's go ahead and turn the truck over here onto its side. For this one, I just wanted to take a look here at the receiver box. It's the same receiver box that was in the LMT version 1 and the mud trucks before. That's largely unchanged. I've never had a problem with one of these. Never had anything get into them other than a little bit of dust. You know, I just get in there and blow that out with a little bit of compressed air, and that's fine. This is your new 130 amp ESC from Spectrum. It's slightly revised to work with the receiver that's in this truck to make the stunts and everything possible. It is a connection between the ESC and the receiver and how they communicate with each other that makes the stunts on this vehicle work. So it's very, very important that this system go together if you want to do the drive technology and things like that. It mostly has to do with the receiver, but the protocol in this ESC is built to go with this. So make sure you guys are doing that. And we'll go ahead and turn it over here onto its side. And this is the standard 2800 kV motor that we had in the Bog Hog and the King Sling before. So it's just the standard 4S mud truck motor now in the monster truck. Just for the sake of telling everybody, I will mostly be running this truck on 3S. Our league rules and everything limit you to 3S, and 3S is plenty for what you want to do with this thing. So we'll be running it on 3S primarily. We will do some 4S speed runs with it in the open field, just so you guys get a feel for how fast it is in the running video. But primarily when you see me running this vehicle, it will be on 3S. So just something to disclose. Same on-off switch as before, just a different color. But other than that, that's pretty much it for the LMT 2.0. Let's get this lid shut. Bam! Look at that thing, man. The new LMT 2.0, guys. Let's go ahead and cut over, and I'll give you all my final thoughts for the day. Okay, one more thing before I let you guys go. Whenever you guys see this in the running video next, it may already look beat up and battered, and there's a reason for it. And that's because I already have this version 1 body that is already beat up and scuffed up and whatnot. So while I'm learning, and it's also reinforced here. So if anybody knows, I use tape and hot glue, and it makes a really, really nice sturdy shell. This is a version 1, day 1 LMT. I bought this the day the LMT released back in 2021, I believe. So yeah, this is a day 1 truck. Still, after all these years, it still survived. Just has a little bit of front end damage here. So learning stop ease and, you know, cracking it and crunching it, it's no big deal here. This truck has already seen a lot of stuff. And so I have no big, doesn't hurt me one bit beating up this body. So when you see it in the running video, it's probably going to have this old beater body on it. And then we will take the time to reinforce this one. So when this one dies, this one can take its place, and then I can get another one to replace it. So that's how the rotation of bodies are going to go on this truck. All right, everybody, that's going to be it for today on Troy's Hobbies RC. That was an unboxing and first look of our new Losi LMT 2.0. It has all of the updated drive technology, the new DX3 transmitter, and everything that goes along with it, the new wheels and tires, all the new LMT 2.0 stuff. But it's still the same old Losi LMT that we love. So we're going to get this thing out as soon as possible and get it out and see what it can really do. I'm looking forward to having this thing out and just kind of playing with it and see what we can come up with new stunts and new innovations. Yeah, it's going to be a fun truck to drive. So I just want to say thanks to everybody for watching. Thumbs up the video if you guys would like to. Subscribe if you guys are new. Make sure you guys follow us on all of our social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, and then we also have our website, Troy's Hobbies RC. And yeah, that's going to be it for today, you guys. That's the new Losi LMT 2.0. So we'll see you guys later. Peace.